Welcome to Habitly Courses, a production of Manage to Win. Each course is divided into multiple lessons for easy viewing. All are now completely free, so you can watch them on your own or work through them as a team. Please subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, and share your favorite lessons with others. Try to find something that helps you be your best.
Hello, this is David Russell. We're talking about relationships, and this course, Course 14, is focused on the motivators part of relationships. And so how to become a master motivator. Now, I'm asked all the time, Dave, how can I motivate my employees? My response may surprise you. I say, well, you can't. All you can do is create an environment where they motivate themselves. Now, if we understand that, then we have to understand what our primary motivators are and what the primary motivators are of people with whom we work. That can be coworkers, peers, bosses, clients, vendors, whatever. So let me talk to you just briefly about the difference between behaviors and motivators. Behaviors are how you do things. Very important to understand. Does that match up with what you got as the needs for a particular job or role in your organization? You do want that to match up, how they do things. It's your natural strengths. However, your values, your motivators, your driving forces, and by the way, these technically in our assessments are referred to as PIAV, personal interests, attitudes, and values. This is why you do things. And the why drives the how. So we need to understand that. These actually, the motivators, are a little bit more important, if not a lot, than the behaviors, because if I engage you on the motivator side, the behaviors pretty much take care of themselves. So what I'm trying to do is understand my own 1 to 2 dominant driving forces so that I can focus my work in areas that are most meaningful to me. I want to improve my focus. But I also want to figure out the same thing for the people I work with regularly, because then that's going to increase my ability to meet or exceed their expectations. I'm going to work with them, engaging them by creating situations where they're self-motivated, because I can't motivate them. I hope that makes sense. All right, let me move on here. Which of these statements, there's more than one, I'll give you a hint, is true when we talk about a value? Driving forces is an extension of a motivator or value. I'm kind of using those synonymously. So a value is a way of looking at life. It determines what someone judges positively or negatively in life. That's the second option. The third option is a set of beliefs. Fourth option affects our perspective and shapes our view of the world. Which of these describe a value? And the answer is all of them, in varying degrees, depending what you're talking about. Now, all 12 driving forces, on the left-hand side, we used to call those the low. On the right-hand side, we used to call it the high. And so what they're doing now is they're plotting it from the mean. So the middle at 0 is the average for everyone who's ever taken these, which are millions of people. And then you either go towards one driving force or the other. The way this works is, without the pretty graphic, down the middle, we've got the values or motivators. So we've got a value or motivator of theoretical, and a key word is knowledge. That's the motivator, is knowledge. And one approach to that with certain people is instinctive, and one is intellectual. Next, we've got utilitarian, which is utility. These are typically people that, want to achieve results or make money. On the left-hand side, we've got selfless. On the right-hand side, resourceful. The value or motivator of aesthetic, the key word is surroundings. We've got people who are objective as far as what they're trying to, they're motivated by in their surroundings, and others on the other side of the scale, harmonious. I'm going to talk about these. The social motivator, keyword others. You're either intentional or altruistic. Individualistic is about power. That's the key word. So on the left-hand side, you're collaborative. On the right-hand side, you're commanding. And then last but not least, the motivator of being traditional, where you appreciate methodologies. So on the left, you're receptive, and on the right, you're structured. Now, before we dive into each one of these, I want to talk about clusters. So in our reports, we use these. You may want to use them on your own, whether you're using our reports or not. But basically, out of these 12, which 4 are the most intense, most observable, the strongest drivers? And this is the primary driving forces cluster. So this is the type of information or a situation that moves you to action. And what you can do is you can focus on the cluster rather than a single driving force to create a deeper reason for the person to do something or decide something or whatever. Now, the closer the scores are to each other, the more you can pull from each one. And if they're not close, if I've got one that's like 85 and I've got another that's 60 and another that's 57 and another that's 40, I'm going to focus on the one that's 85. So here's an example. You can see the receptive is the top one. It's the most intense, 88. Then I've got intellectual, which is 83. Then I'm down in the 60s. I've got a 65 for harmonious and I've got a 65 for intentional. So what I'm going to do, if I'm working with this person, I'm going to focus on the driving force of the fact they're receptive. They like to consider different ideas, and they love to learn. You have to get them, create an environment where they're motivated. I'd like to be aware of the harmonious and the intentional, but I'm not going to focus on those as much. So this is 4 out of the 12, the primary. Next, we move into situational. This is the next 4. The next 4 highest by score, okay? And what this means is they're not as significant as the primary drivers as far as creating an environment where someone will be motivated on their own, but they will come into play in certain situations or circumstances. So it's something to keep you in mind. Also, you may use some of these to reinforce the actual primary driving forces to increase motivation. I can kind of cluster some together. Here's an example. So, and I believe these are from the same report. I'm not absolutely certain. So this is an example. The commanding is 44, the resourceful 40, the selfless 40, and the collaborative 33. See how the scores are dropping? Okay, from what we had before. The lowest we had before was a 65. And that's intensity when we talk about the score. Now, the last group is the indifferent. Now, why do I care about these? They're really low. I'm not going to be able to motivate someone this way. The reason I care about the indifferent is because it can be the direct opposite of what truly drives this person. And if this person is working with someone else who has any of these as their primary driving forces, it can irritate them. It can bother them. They won't understand it. So these are areas you want to avoid as far as when you're doing your work. If these were some of your motivators, you want to kind of avoid these types of things. You can see how the scores drop. Even 2 zeros. Ooh, ouch. Okay? So that means don't go near those. That's the opposite. All right? It's the opposite of what they have in the primary side. And by the way, those 2 zeros are the opposites of that 85 and that 88 score. So I hope this was helpful. Take a look at it again if you want to kind of catch some key thoughts on it. There is an exam you need to pass, so you need to be aware of this. And as you're just starting to dive in on this, I'm gonna go deep on each one of these driving forces. So you don't have to worry about that just from this lesson. But if you want to look at it, there might be something you can learn, something you can apply right now. This is the conclusion of lesson 1, just the overview on motivators or driving forces. I look forward to working with you on lesson 2. Bye for now.